and I'm going to record this, so hopefully I can put it on the blog later today. Now, notice that on the 45-minute chart, I actually have more indicators than in any of the other workspaces. And the reason I did that was so that you would see, some of the other indicators that come in the package, but you never see on my chart. Okay, so we have the trend ATR, okay, and these pink bars tell me that it was a wide bar, and wide bars typically retrace. And then we have the ATR stop, which is the plus sign. And when we get close enough to the ATR to take a trade, you see that the price bars turn gray. That's all within the trend ATR. But notice I have these yellow dots that are extending, and it's either from the high or from the low. That is called the trend SRs, meaning support and resistance. Now, why don't I have those on my chart? Because I can spot a high from a mile away. I've been doing it for a long time. For those that have not been doing it as long as I have or don't have my experience, then you would want to put the trend SR on your chart. After, I would say, about 6 months, you get used to it and you can actually, visually see it without the dots on there. Now, directly beneath that, we have the directional volume indicator. It combines both price action, sellers and buyers into one indicator. Anything that is plotted above 0 is representative of buyers. Anything that is below 0 is representative of sellers. This little dash mark, we call it a hash mark actually, tells us at the end of the bar who controlled it. Was it buyers or was it sellers? Directly beneath that, I've got the THG ADX. And the reason that I switched over to gold this morning is because I also plotted the RSI. As you can see, both the ADX and the RSI were overbought this morning, and the result was a magenta peak that's now retracing back to the ATR. Now, also notice that you didn't have any volume divergence here, okay? Typically, volume divergence will come in before the ADX peak comes in. In this case, it did not. But I knew to expect an overbought condition because of the ADX and the RSI. Does everybody understand that? Now, I typically do not use the RSI on my chart, okay? I do it in a meter window so that I can monitor all of my markets within one window, okay? So over here you see that I've got the Dow, the Nasdaq, the S&P 500, the dollar index, the DAX, gold, Swiss franc, euro, crude, British pound, and the yen, all within one window. Now, I have this set to a daily, so in this case, I know that the yen is actually oversold at the moment because the yen is overextended. You also see that gold is overextended because it was below the negative 50 line. So I can look at one window and monitor all of the RSIs. Does everybody understand that? Now, why do I choose to monitor them all in one window? Well, let me show you why. I like a very, very clean chart. The cleaner it is, the easier it is on me to make a decision. So this is what I trade, okay? I already know that this high, the yellow dots are extending out because it's the highest high. Everybody understand that? I don't need the dots on my chart. Any questions on that? Now, probably for at least 2 years, I used those dots, and I used those dots for one simple reason. And let me bring it back up for you. And we're going to put this on 3. Okay, if you extend this out, you can actually go back and see where there was a lot of resistance. In this case, it was here. Or you can see when there's a lot of support for price to go up because these lines continue to extend. Okay? Now, visually, I can see that, but it took me a while to be able to do that. That's the purpose of the trend SR. And you will find that they really do extend out and actually can identify the congestion areas as well. These define the congestion area on the live edge as is building. Okay, so you got this line of yellow dots here, and I'm going to put that up for you. Okay, and you can see that it's come back once, it's came back twice, then it went down and it formed an area of support that also extended out. Okay, so that would have been your congestion zone using the trend SR dots. Do y'all understand that? Now, the easier way for me to do that would be to use the trend ATR on a smaller time frame, and that's typically what I do. For example, we have congestion up here on the 12-minute, your congestion dot being at 1197 and the ATR being at 1202, okay? If you go out on the 3-minute, you can also see that it identified a congestion zone, started back here at 1194, the ATR being at 1197, okay? Then it broke through that area, formed another level of congestion dots, and never really quite cleared it. Why didn't it clear it? Because it is oversold. Okay? I'm sorry, it's overbought on the 45-minute. Still thinking about the daily. If that is in your trading plan, yes, you can. I take trades where? At the ATR or at the congestion dot, okay? Those are my two entry points, okay? At an ATR or at a congestion dot. Does that mean I sometimes miss some trades? Yes, it does, okay? My entry points are at an ATR or at a congestion dot. Everybody understand that? Any questions on that this morning? Now, this morning you have, like I said, gold was overbought, okay? You get a magenta peak on the 45-minute. That tells me look for a Buddha trade on the 3-minute chart, okay? So we have the ADX peak come in. That tells me that the 3-minute should flip the ATR. It will go back and test the ATR, and it must be on diverging volume. Here, it did not make it back to the ATR. Here, it makes it back to the ATR, and what happened in the volume that said, hey, sellers just stepped into this market, the volume. It went from buyer-controlled to seller-controlled. Do y'all see that? The little hash mark below the zero line. That is an entry. Can everybody see my pointer, my screen? I think it's on your end, Christian. Okay, Christian, it is on your end. Everybody else can see it. Yeah, it's probably just the delay, Christian. So this was your entry right here, okay? Look at what the volume did, okay? I know to look at this bar because that bar is blue. What's the significance of that? Okay, it tells me this is where price made a high, and this is also where sellers stepped into the market to take gold down. Does everybody understand that? Now, if I go and I put the clipper on here, and let me find it real quick. And there it is. We're going to say false here. And click OK. I'm going to go up here and I'm going to put it right there. I must have two clippers on here. Yep, I do. So far, using the clipper, you were risking 10 ticks. You made 20 ticks here. You made 40 ticks here. That's a total of 60 ticks. If it comes back to clipper 1, which is 1197.5, then you would be out. Is the volume the same on each screen? Are you talking about directional volume? Or are you talking about the volume bars itself? The volume bars themselves would be different. Now, in this case, you were risking 10 ticks per contract. Okay, trading 3 contracts is 30 ticks. Okay, you just made 60 and you're guaranteed another 20. So that's 80 ticks on 3 contracts. Do y'all understand that? Now, is that the only way you could have traded this? No. You could have done binary options if you wanted to. Now, the binary options, you would have had to go out to 1:30 this afternoon. Okay? But I would suffice it to say you have made a profit on that binary. Do y'all understand that? Is the clipper setup the same on all markets? Well, pretty much yes. What it's doing is it's coming off of the high, in this case, of this bar. And we gave you multiple inputs on it, Robert. I'll go back and actually show it to you. Okay, so you can offset the ticks. For example, if you want to set 5 ticks off the high or 5 ticks off the low of the last 2 bars, you could change that here, okay? You can also change it to how many bars is it going to look back for the high or the low. In this case, I've got mine set to 2, okay? My risk to reward is 1 to 2. So for every dollar of risk, I'm going to gain $2. You can set it to use the bar direction. In other words, if the bar closes down, then it will go short. If the bar closes up, it will go long. Since I typically enter on up, I go short on an up candle, I go long on a down candle. So I normally have that set to false. We also allow you to override it. So in other words, if you just want to use an 8-tick stop with a 16-tick profit target, 32-tick and 48-tick profit target respectively, you can do that as well. And then we also allow you to change the colors. Now I do that because, you know, I believe that customers like to change things. Okay, so we give you as many possibilities to change things as possible. Okay, so we pretty much gave you anything you wanted to change, you could change right through the inputs. Does everybody understand that? Now, with multi-charts, if you click anywhere on this screen right now, it's going to change your clipper. So you cannot click here unless you want your clipper to be plotted somewhere else, okay? It doesn't lock in place. Now, if that touches clipper 1, you would automatically exit. Now, you would exit. Understand? That would have been your trailing stop. So that trade netted 80 ticks total. You were risking 30 ticks, okay? That is an excellent risk to reward ratio on that trade. Any questions on that? Now, what do I think gold will do today? Well, as it stands right now, you have gold is moving up, but you have a congestion dot at 1214. Gold is moving up, it is not overbought. Gold is moving up, it is not overbought. I would expect this to retrace back to the ATR. It's not close enough yet. It's been within 4 points. Okay? Once it does that, I would anticipate that it would retest the high. How do you get the clipper to display once you set it up? There is an icon here. It's an expert commentary. Multi-charts added that specifically for the clipper. Okay? You click that and then you click on your entry bar. Understand? All right, so let's go look at crude real quick. All right, crude, you're in a congestion area on the 180. That would stand out at me. Over here, your ADX is at 54. You could get a magenta peak in, but it's not there yet. On the 720, I would be a little bit worried because there's no buyers in crude right now. All right, we have congestion area on the 180. Not seeing a lot of buyers coming into this. Between here and here, you do have volume divergence. The sellers are actually increasing on the 45-minute. That tells us we may bounce up from this ATR, but the sellers have started coming in and you have an increase in volume. So they very well may flip that ATR over here. Over here, you've got a magenta dot. Does not look like a very good peak at the moment, but it's still coming in. And then over here, you're in a congestion area. So as it stands right now, I would anticipate crude to come back to this ATR more than likely, just based off of what I'm seeing on the 45-minute chart. I'm on the December contract, Christian. You can tell when you're on the wrong contract because it won't be no volume and it won't be any movement. That's just about guaranteed, especially on crude. And I'll switch when I see the volume switch, and it's definitely not there yet. All right, on the Nasdaq, The Nasdaq on the ADX on the 1440 is at 65. Okay, that's substantial because we could get a magenta peak in. We have had a magenta peak over on the 720, but it has not completed the retracement yet. On the 180, they have not been able to break this line of ATRs. Okay, right now as it stands, this is a Buddha trade coming in between the 720 and the 45-minute chart. Would I like to see that closer to this ATR? Yes, I would. Okay. Now, as it stands right now, the buyers are increasing. Okay. I would want to see buyers decrease before I take a short position. Any questions on the Nasdaq this morning? Okay, let's go look at the Dow. I'm going down through the list, Cece. Okay, on the Dow this morning, you have had a magenta peak. It's not totally retraced back to that ATR yet. It's missed it by just over 100 points. Over here, you're still moving up. Here, you're getting caught at the ATR. Okay, so far at that ATR, we have had diverging volume. So I would not take a trade other than a short unless they break this ATR. Okay? Now, buyers did control the last low here, and we saw that on the yen last night. You had divergence on the 180-minute chart, and it was almost identical to this. That's the reason I'm telling y'all. You were at an ATR, it was a divergence on the buyer side, and then they tested for the sellers, and when they tested for sellers, there were just absolutely no sellers, and the yen went up again. Okay? Pretty much the same thing that you're seeing right now on the Dow. I would want it to either clear this ATR or show me that it's going to go down. Okay? This is blue, blue, blue. That's not showing me it's going down. Okay? So the Dow, I would be sitting on my hands. On the S&P 500, you've missed this one by about 10 points. Okay? So this one, there is still a potential to retrace back to this ATR. Buyers came in on that one and controlled it. You're getting divergence between these two highs here. This one is saying up. This one, again, is saying up. It would have to flip this ATR for me to be interested because you have an ATR here. You also have a congestion dot. Okay? So what I would do is let it clear this ATR, then come back and test the ATR, and I would go long. Okay? And on the DAX this morning, beautiful trade on the DAX this morning. Here you're at the ATR from yesterday, and y'all can definitely see that there was divergence there. Also at an ATR over here. Here you are moving up, but you are getting divergence as it stands right now on the 180. You also have a magenta peak on the 45-minute. You're retracing back to the ATR. If it comes back to this ATR on divergence, that is a Buddha between the 3 and the 45-minute. It has to be on diverging volume. Okay? Now let's go look at the Russell. And I do not have the Russell in my list, so I'm going to have to type it in. Okay, on the Russell, you are at the ATR. Don't really see a lot of divergence there other than buyers come in and control that bar. You do have a congestion zone on the 720. Looks like it's heading back up to the ATR right now. You also have a lot of zones up above you on the Russell here, and really no buyers come in here. But now remember that the buyers, the Russell is not a true 24-hour market. So my focus on the Russell is typically the 45, the 12, and the 3. Russell is not a 24-hour market, okay? So here you're getting divergence along this line of trend SR. That's not congestion, that's just trend SR. You're also in congestion over here, but the lows are being controlled by the buyers, okay? So it may go up on the Russell. Am I saying the DAX could go up? I said no. I said there was a boot of potential between the 45 and the 3-minute Rick. You have a magenta peak here that tells us it's going to pull back to the ATR, which is at 93.54, okay? And this has to pull back to this ATR to give you an entry, and it has not done that yet. Now, after the retracement back to this ATR, could it go up? Sure. Any questions on that now, Rick? Oh, Euro's fallen. Yeah, I am flying today. Not sure why I've been up since about 2 o'clock this morning, but it is what it is. Let's see what the market report did. The PPI came in at 0.2. They expected negative 0.1. Better than anticipated. Let's go see how gold reacted. Well, so far you've missed the ATR by 2 points, 20 ticks. You can see buyers buying that low. Yeah, it's probably caffeine. Not much of a reaction in gold. Let's go see what the Dow's doing. Just as a reminder, tomorrow we're going to have the room at 9 o'clock in the morning. It doesn't look like this ATR is going to hold up the Dow this morning. You've got a congestion dot here at 17,616. It's not 9 a.m. Central Time. It's 9 a.m. Eastern Time. It's right there. It flipped from being buying control to seller's control. You've had two divergences on gold on right there, Chris. Where's my little thing? From here to here, you had volume divergence, and then it went from buyer control to seller control. You did log in today, Dave. How you doing? They are really good, Dave. And I use them extensively in the past, but I got so used to them I could automatically see, but remember I coded them. So I know the way the code works. I already know that it's going to extend out. But I mean, if you go back and look at them, I mean, you can see they're very substantial. But again, I don't use them, but then again, I coded them, so I know what makes them plot. Exactly, Dave. Yeah, you very easily could. And for those people that don't know, trends or, you're drawing trend lines on your chart and stuff, I quit doing that a long time ago because I could use the trend SR to do it. It's very visual. Yeah, it's called trend SR. Because I believe support and resistance is formed by highs and lows. I don't have any yellow dots on my 180, Bonnie. I've got a row of congestion dots. The euro just moved up, but I think it's fixing to come down. I've got it open on another screen. The euro US dollar. This was the movement from the market report. It went to a low of 25.04 up to a high of 25.31. This was a magenta peak on the 45-minute chart. But, I mean, we've had a nice up move on the euro this morning. I would be looking for it to come back and test 25.39, but that's just me. The yen's had a major move down this morning. And that actually started about 5 o'clock this morning. I was actually long on the yen earlier. And I got out of it because I thought it was going to go down. Don't you love it when I talk and I don't show you the screen? I was in it between here and then got out of it. This was a market report on the euro actually, and it went down. You can see it retraced back to the ATR. And do you see how that ATR held price? Now, I also know, because I trade the yen a lot, that the yen is oversold, okay? And you can see that the dollar here is starting to go down. So I take all of that into consideration. Okay, let's go back and let's see what the Dow is doing. Really haven't had much of a movement. On currencies, they tend to move more. We're seeing some of the volatility come back into the currencies, which I love. You see on the 12-minute Dow that the ATR seems to be holding and you're getting divergence here. That bar does not end for another 6 minutes, so don't get excited yet, okay? You have to actually see that this divergence in fact does hold, okay? Yeah, I had to actually increase my cable speed, well, my internet speed, to be able to do the GoToMeeting and all, Christian. And it does take a lot of internet resources to project the amount of data that we project. Yeah, I wish we would get fiber optic where I'm at. No such luck. Which speed on Roadrunner? I have a business class. I think I went 50 megs. And it works fine until I start projecting my screen. And it will lag when you start projecting your screen. We've had a 50% retracement on the wide bar on the yen. Wonder if the euro did it too. Okay. The most important thing to me today is this 180 on the Dow. They very well may flip that ATR. You just really have to read the volume on the 12-minute. Let's see, is there anything else? Maybe on the DAX. It's still trying to get back to this ATR. And I mean, that's quite a distance away. That's the reason you're not seeing any gray bars yet, okay? So there's no entry here. With the congestion here, it's probably going to come back and try to test the ATR here. And then depending on that, whether it's diverging volume or not, you could have a short setup. Overall, right now, I'm not seeing any other trade setups, though. Do we have any questions this morning? Oh, George, you just make me want to cry. How can you have fiber and I don't? Fiber optic, that is. Does the U.S. Open affect the DAX? Yes, it does. The DAX actually moves more than most of the U.S. indices, Rick. It's actually a really good indices if you know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, it could do some harm to your account because it is very, very volatile. It's as volatile as gold and crude. So, okay, if there's no other questions, I'm going to go ahead and end the session this morning because I do have to go out. I hope everyone has a wonderful day. And remember, tomorrow morning, we do not open at 8 o'clock. We open at 9 o'clock. Okay? I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and I'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place.